Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sync 24 TV. This is the Nationalist show with Kennedy Abongo. Our discussion for today is what LUO governors, the 4 LUO governors, what must they do? Before we go into that topic, do kindly subscribe if you're watching us for the first time, and if you've been watching us and yet to subscribe, kindly do so. We'd like to grow this channel and ensure we reach as many people as possible. So the topic, what LUO governors must do. If you have any comment about it, what you think in addition to what we say, we are going to say, do kindly put a comment down there so that we know what you also think. So straight to number 1. They must improve on health. Health is a big issue for the LUO nation. You'd find, and most of you would agree, that what we call referral hospitals in our counties, in the 4 LUO counties, would actually look like dispensaries in other counties. So if you compare, let's say, the referral hospital of Siaya and Homa Bay, if you compare, especially for the one for Homa Bay, and then you compare the one for Kirinyaga, there is a stark difference. We need to improve on health, and that requires that we build proper hospitals. That is very critical. And not only do that, we also need to equip them with medicine and all the necessary equipment and plus resources, so that our people can easily access health. There are a lot of deaths in Luo Nyanza which can't be avoided. It is very difficult, and I've spoken with so many people from these counties. I have friends from Homa Bay who tell me, I don't know whether this is true, I've never been to Homa Bay, but there is this thing that it is very difficult to meet people who are over 70 years who are still alive in Homa Bay. That it's very difficult to find men or old men in Homa Bay. I can say for a fact in Siaya, it is also not as much. You don't find really old men like you'd find in areas like Kisii, in Mount Kenya. But that happens because in our area, the deaths of our older men are things that can be avoided. So if you put or invest in health and healthcare, these are things that can be avoided. You can see ourselves living longer, and also the children, when they are born, the mortality rate would be a bit lower. So for instance, reports indicate that of all the 10 children born in Nyanza, actually 8 are more likely to die, 2 are more likely to survive. If you compare that with Central, then Central, out of 10, you find 7 are more likely to survive. So it is almost the inverse. So we are losing on both ends. We are losing our old people, and we're also losing our younger, the next generation. And that is why our population has been as stuck since independence. We're not really growing. People are growing and surpassing us. And this thing can be avoided if we invest thoroughly on health. And I'm telling you also this because on personal experience, there was a time my dad was attacked at night, and unfortunately the person who attacked him intended to cut him on the neck, and that missed because it was at night. So it was really bleeding. So we went to Bondo, and then there was nobody to attend to him. So they told us to go to Kisumu. Went to Kisumu. Again, there was nobody to attend to because they did not have the equipment. Quite funnily, what I found to be so funny was that the doctor there gave him the first aid, and then referred us to Eldoret. So you can imagine that patients from Kisumu is being referred to Eldoret, and then we went to Eldoret and found that is where now his surgery, he was admitted and his surgery was conducted. Everything in that hospital was pinpoint. It was perfect. You look at it and you say, if this can be in each of the 4 counties, then we probably may avoid a lot of these things. Then my dad was lucky in that respect. because I believe at that point that had he stayed even for longer the following day, he would have died. I'm just saying this. I would want to tell you again, my dad, of course, is passed, but on an entirely unrelated issue. So we need to really invest on health. Number two, we need to entrench fiscal discipline. Fiscal discipline is the money, how we are using money. Government must ensure that it uses money properly. So these will ensure that they improve and sustain economic performance of these four counties. And also they maintain the microeconomic stability of these four counties and reduce the vulnerabilities, things that may cause businesses to, to fail. So all those vulnerability, if you entrench fiscal discipline, then you'd ensure all these things, that money is not just used for the sake of it. Money has to be used for a specific purpose. You don't just decide to use it. You have to identify and use it properly. So that they have to entrench. Number three, and this is tied to number two, that while fiscal discipline is important, it should not lead to tight control of spending, because that can be a problem again. Because when you put in fiscal discipline, sometimes it can be too much to the extent that there is tight control on spending. So a lot of things may go unattended to because of the tight control, which again can lead to the problem you are trying to avoid through fiscal discipline. So there should be, if you have to identify, they should identify how to use this money. For Nyanza, for instance, we have to look at how can we improve fishing, because that is but that's an economic backbone of that region for the four counties. How can those people be helped? How can the governments ensure that they get value for their work that they do? So should they be organized? How can you help them in terms of finances? How can you give them, you have to find a way to help these people. That is something that happens with fishing. If people who come from Nyanza will understand that they go, they fish, and then when they come, they sell it there, then they use that money believing tomorrow it's also another day, and probably they sell it at a very low price. So there should be a way of helping these people and ensuring that the money that they get is used properly. This can come through, they can be helped through educating them and also providing frameworks on how to sell for them. If you have, let's say, a single source where after they've come, everybody is saying this is the amount of kgs of fish that I have, then you give them to the single source, then that person would now sell it. So after that is over, all that is done, then what you pick is just the amount of money depending on the kgs of fish you gave to those people. So that would ensure that the price of fish is at least controlled and is stabilized. Another thing that they could on that is we need to look at how to revive crop farming. What are we doing to ensure that there is crop farming that is sustainable and not something that we're only doing to for in small scale, just for the family? We have to do something big. We have to revive things like Dominion in Siaya. How can we ensure that that is up and running? Asembo Bay, for instance, for those who know, Asembo Bay is a place which was known for growth of cotton. When I was younger in Asembo Bay, growing up in that area, we could see a lot of lorries coming in to pick that particular product. It is so funny that the younger generation, LUO generation of today, would find it quite funny that used to happen. But it used to happen. The economy was vibrant. So ensure that is brought back. And then there was also the bit of groundnut. There was a lot, people were growing groundnut. Asembo Bay was known for growing of groundnuts. A lot of it. Well, in school again, we used to do all those things. So these things are things that require revival. They require revival. And then the government have to look for ways on how to help people revive these things. Then number four is, this is an obvious one. It applies everywhere. They have to improve on infrastructure. Tarmac roads, so that towns are connected. Siaya is connected with Bondo, so people who are coming from Siaya or Asembo Bay or Luak, they could, access this town quite easily when they're going to the market or want to access health centers, all the things. So when the roads or access points are easy, or roads are tarmac, then it makes it quite easy to travel across these counties. So that can be done, and they need to really do it if they intend to change the face of LUO Nyanza. Then the fifth one rather, and the last is they have to invest on sports. There is no region, I think, which has the talent. I've seen that talent firsthand. There are kids there who are very, very talented in terms of playing football, in terms of, athletics. People are talented in LUO Nyanza, in those 4 counties. People are really talented. For those who grew up in Kisumu, you can bear me witness that there are some people you see play football and you wonder. Then you meet them later. There are people I saw play football, and then you meet them later, you find, oh, they ventured into other areas, and you wonder, with all that talent. You see, so if we can just invest on talent from the ground, we give them an opportunity to showcase that talent, and also to make it possible for them to explore that talent into the future. That would be very, very critical to the Luo community. What is happening with Eldoret, for instance, the growth of Eldoret? Who have the economy of Eldoret? They're the athletes. They're making Eldoret have a name. The buildings in Eldoret are the athletes. So if we can also invest on sports, because we have the talent, it would go a long way in helping these 4 counties grow tremendously. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have anything you think they should do leave a comment and say this is what you think they should do and why. That marks the end of this analysis. Thank you very much for watching. Do share and leave a comment.